There is a version of you that the world knows. It smiles at the right times. It says the right things. It agrees when it needs to agree. It is polished. It is safe. It is accepted. And it is not entirely you. Most of us have been living this way for so long that we forgot it was a choice. We forgot that somewhere along the way, we started editing ourselves. Quietly. Carefully. Until the edited version became the only version we showed. This video is about authenticity. Not the kind that sounds nice on a poster. Not live your truth with a sunset behind it. The real kind. The kind that costs something. The kind that most people are too afraid to try. Think about the last time you said yes when you meant no. Maybe someone asked for your help and you were already exhausted. But you said yes anyway. Maybe someone shared an opinion and you disagreed. But you nodded along. Maybe someone asked how you were doing. And you said, "I'm fine." You were not fine. These moments seem small. But they add up. Every time you choose the comfortable answer over the honest one, something shrinks inside you. Not dramatically. Just a little. Just enough that you barely notice. But over months. Over years. Over a lifetime of small compressions. You end up far from yourself. And one day you look around and realize you have built a life that fits everyone else perfectly. And fits you like a borrowed coat. Why do we do this? The answer goes deeper than you might think. Humans are social creatures. We have always needed a tribe. For most of history, being rejected from the group meant real danger. It meant being alone. Unprotected. Vulnerable. So our brains evolved a powerful system. Read the room. Adjust. Belong. That system kept us alive for thousands of years. But the world changed. And our brains did not catch up. Today, when someone disagrees with you, your body still reacts like survival is at stake. Your heart beats faster. Your thoughts race. You want to fix it. To smooth it over. To be accepted again. So you adjust. You soften. You hide. Not because you are weak. But because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that belonging and being yourself are not always the same thing. And when you have to choose between them, most people choose belonging. Every time. There is a Japanese concept that captures this perfectly. It is the difference between tape-mei and han. Tape-mei is the face you show the world. The version that is appropriate. Acceptable. Expected. Han is what you actually feel. What you actually want. What you actually believe. The idea touches something universal. Because all of us carry both. All of us have a tape-mei. A performance we give for different audiences. The professional version. The easygoing one. The one who has it together. The one who never complains. The one who always shows up smiling. And underneath all of those, somewhere quieter, there is your han. The part that is tired. Uncertain. Hoping to be seen as it actually is. The gap between those two things is where most people live their entire lives. Here is what that gap costs you. It costs energy. Enormous amounts of it. Performing takes fuel. Tracking what you said to whom. Adjusting your personality for each room. Monitoring every word before it leaves your mouth. People who live inauthentically are exhausted. Not from working too hard. From performing too long. It also costs you intimacy. When people love the performance, not the person, the relationship feels hollow. You might have many people around you. And still feel deeply alone. Because no one knows the real you. Not fully. Not truly. And when no one knows you, you cannot really be loved. You can only be admired. Appreciated. Relied upon. But not known. Not held. Not loved for who you actually are. That kind of loneliness is one of the quietest forms of pain there is. There is a philosopher named Albert Camus who wrote about something he called the absurd. The gap between who we are inside and what the world expects from us. He believed most people spend their lives performing for an audience that is also performing. Everyone watching. No one truly seeing. Everyone waiting to be accepted. No one willing to go first and be real. So what does it actually mean to be authentic? It does not mean saying everything you think. That is not honesty. That is carelessness. It does not mean abandoning all social awareness. Context still matters. Kindness still matters. Authenticity is something quieter than that. It is knowing who you are when no one is watching. It is making choices that reflect your actual values, not just the values that make people comfortable. It is the willingness to disappoint someone rather than betray yourself. That last part is where most people stop. Because disappointing people feels unbearable. We were taught, very early, that being a good person means making people happy. So when we disappoint someone, it feels like we did something wrong. But here is the truth. You cannot be honest and never disappoint anyone. Those two things cannot always exist at the same time. At some point, your truth will make someone uncomfortable. And you will have to choose. Their comfort. Or your integrity. There is a book called The Courage to be Disliked. It is based on the ideas of Alfred Adler, a psychologist who believed something radical. He believed the desire for approval is the single biggest obstacle to living freely. Because if your primary goal is to be liked, you will always be adjusting. Always performing. Always reacting to what others need from you. Your identity will never fully belong to you. It will belong to the audience. Adler said freedom is living according to your own values. Even when others do not understand. Even when they disagree. Even when they step back. That kind of freedom requires something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. The willingness to be disliked. This does not mean becoming cold. Or difficult. Or contrarian. It means developing what you might call a stable center. A place inside you that does not move every time someone pushes. A sense of self that does not depend on constant approval to survive. People with a stable center can still be warm. Still be open. Still care deeply about others. But they do not lose themselves in the caring. They can give without disappearing. They can love without shrinking. Here is the part that surprises most people. When you stop performing, people do not pull away. They come closer. When you stop trying to be likable, people genuinely like you more. Because there is something deeply magnetic about a person who is simply quietly themselves. We are drawn to realness. We are hungry for it. We spend our days surrounded by carefully curated versions of people. And then someone walks in and just exists, without apology, without performance. And it is like breathing fresh air. Research in social psychology supports this. People consistently rate authentic individuals as more trustworthy, more likable, and more worth knowing. Not because authentic people are perfect, but because they are real. And real is rare. There is also something called a vulnerability loop. When one person shows up honestly, others feel safe to do the same. One real moment can shift the energy of an entire relationship. One honest answer in a room full of polished answers changes everything. Authenticity is not just a personal choice. It is a gift you give to the people around you. The permission to stop performing. To exhale. To be seen. But let us be honest about the cost. Some people will not like the real you. Some relationships cannot survive your honesty. Some rooms will get uncomfortable when you stop playing your role. The fear is not irrational. You might lose something. Sometimes you will. A friendship that depended on you being small. A dynamic that relied on you never saying no. A version of yourself that everyone found convenient. Losing these things hurts. Even when they were not good for you. But consider what staying costs. A life where the people closest to you love a character, not a person. A life where you never fully rest. Because you are always on stage. A life where the deepest parts of you stay hidden. Not because they are shameful. But because you never gave them the chance to be seen. That is a quiet kind of grief. Living your whole life as an understudy to yourself. Finding your way back does not have to be dramatic. It starts with something small. The next time someone asks your opinion, pause before giving the safe answer. Ask yourself what you actually think. Not what you are supposed to think. Not what they want to hear. What do you actually believe? Start there. Then try saying it. Gently. Without apology. In low-stakes moments, practice being a little more honest. The waiter asks if the food is good. Say what you actually think. A colleague asks for feedback. Give real feedback. Not just reassurance. A friend asks how you are. Try being honest just once. See what happens. Notice the feeling after. There is usually relief. A small loosening in the chest. A sense of having been, just briefly, actually present. That is what it feels like to stop performing. That is what it feels like to show up as yourself. One last thing. Authenticity is not about stripping away every filter. You do not have to share everything. You do not have to be raw with everyone. There is wisdom in knowing what to share, and when, and with whom. The goal is not to perform realness as a new kind of performance. The goal is simply this. To never lose track of your own face. Even when you are wearing a mask for the world, you know it is a mask. And underneath, you are still there. Clear. Steady. Yours. We started with that familiar version of you. The one that smiles at the right times. That agrees when it needs to agree. That version was not born. It was built. Slowly. Carefully. In response to what the world seemed to want. Which means it can also be unbuilt. Not all at once. Not with some dramatic announcement. Just one small honest moment at a time. One conversation where you say what you actually mean. One relationship where you stop editing yourself. One quiet decision to show up as yourself instead of the version that is easier for everyone else. The world does not need another perfect performance. It has enough of those. What it needs are real people. People who are willing to be known. People who are tired of the mask. And just brave enough to set it down. That could be you. It starts with one honest moment. Today. I hope this video brought you something meaningful. If you find it helpful, please like and share it with someone who may need it. Subscribe if you would like to hear more stories like this. Wishing you a calm and peaceful day.